Okey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera kepada semua pelajar. Okey, so kita berjumpa lagi pada hari ini dalam seminar Kecemerlangan SPM bagi tahun 2020 khas di atas talian kami bawakan untuk anda. Ya, saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah kerana anda telah memilih platform yang tepat. Ya, dan pada hari ini cikgu akan menyambung seminar ini dengan kita bawakan khas guru yang tidak asing lagi yang akan membantu anda untuk menjawab bahasa Inggeris dengan tepat sekali. Ya pelajar, sebelum itu marilah sama-sama kita baca surah Al-Fatihah untuk pembukaan majlis kita supaya kelas kita pada hari ini diberkati Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Al-Fatihah ya bagi pelajar-pelajar Muslim. Ya, terima kasih bersama saya nampaknya ada di ruang chat. GKMP bahasa ya. Cikgu Adilah Abu Bakar. Ada Jaen. Ada Gigi. Morning. Terima kasih kerana hadir ya. Siapa lagi ada bersama cikgu? Typekan nama anda. Ya, kita ada pelajar sedang bergerak masuk Cikgu Izzul. Dah ada 16 orang. Nampaknya mereka sedang masuk. Tak apa. Kita masih lagi menunggu cepat pelajar. Rugi anda tidak garap ilmu pada hari ini. Kita ada 2 slot. Slot pertama ialah slot bahasa Inggeris bersama dengan Mr. Izzul dan slot kedua kita bersama dengan Cikgu Wan Rizalmi untuk slot sains SPM. So jangan lepaskan peluang anda untuk bersama dengan kami. Seperti mana yang cikgu beritahu belajar, berguru secara berhadapan adalah lebih besar barakahnya. Ya, dan seperti biasa, sebelum memulakan slot, sukalah cikgu mengingatkan anda semua, pastikan yang pertama anda fokus. Ya, yang kedua, pastikan anda mencatat kerana belajar tanpa catatan kurang berkesan berbanding dengan mencatat. Dan seterusnya, jaga bahasa anda di ruang chat, gunalah bahasa yang sesuai. Ya, good morning Sakti Kumar. Terima kasih hadir. Mudah-mudahan yang hadir bersama cikgu ni semuanya mendapat A+. Bahasa Inggeris SPM. Ya, bersama-sama dengan cikgu sekarang ini kita ada Cikgu Izzul ya. Cikgu Izzul boleh perkenalkan diri sedikit. Mungkin ada antara pelajar-pelajar kita ini tidak mengenali Cikgu Izzul. Cikgu Izzul sekarang dari mana ya? Dari Perak ya?
Assalamualaikum and very good morning everyone. I'm Mr. Izzul. Saya berada di Perak sekarang.
Tengok tu. Jauh cikgu kita bersiaran demi untuk anda. Ya, teruskan.
Dan harapannya hari ini saya harap dapat membantu berkongsi dengan murid-murid beberapa tips untuk kita mendapat kejayaan lebih cemerlang dalam SPM. Terima kasih. Itu saja.
Itu je? Okey. So Cikgu Izzul juga daripada SMK Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra ya. So Cikgu Izzul memang ada kemahiran dari segi teknik menjawab kertas 1. Ya, rugi kalau anda tidak bersama dengan Cikgu 1119 ya. Ya, hari ini Cikgu Izzul akan membincangkan 1119. Kalau zaman saya belajar dulu inilah bahagian yang paling susah ya. So, untuk seterusnya pentas ini saya serahkan kepada Cikgu Izzul ya. Dipersilakan Cikgu Izzul untuk teruskan slot kita pada pagi ini.
Terima kasih Cikgu Zainul.
Sama-sama. Saya share screen sekejap Cikgu Izzul
Ya. Good morning everyone. Today we are going to look at because we don't really have much time, we are going to focus only on one aspect of English 119, which is section B for paper 1. Uh, Bear in mind, this particular section is one of the most section that will give you a lot of marks, especially when it comes if you want to pass, if you want to get an A, if you want to get an A plus. This is where you need to actually give more focus on, apart from other sections as well. So let's dive right into it. Okay, my name is Mr. I do hope that you know me from the picture and from myself. Okay, I would like to share, before we start, I would like to share one quote that I think is very important for all of us. Champions don't do extraordinary things, they do ordinary things, but they do them without thinking too fast for the other team to react. They follow the habits they've learned. In short, what it means here is that actually, if it's not that hard to become great or to become better at whatever you want to do, especially when it comes to writing your essay for your SPM, so long that you have certain habits built into your practice, hari-hari kita biasakan rutin dan sebagainya, when it comes to writing an essay, for example, this would actually help you do a lot better. This will actually help you with a lot of things, to the extent that you don't really have to think about all the technical stuff and so on. All you need to do is to be as great as possible, as creative as possible, and we are going to look at how you are going to achieve that after this. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment box. We'll try to respond as I see fit. Okay. Since we are talking about creating a habits of a champion, so these are some of the tips that I would like to suggest all of you try to behave. Try to practice in your daily routine, especially when you are writing an essay. Okay. Bear in mind, whatever I'm teaching you is not as much as different as whatever your classroom, your teachers have been teaching you. Only that we are going to read.
Oh, kita ada gangguan internet.
Basically, I would suggest 5 habits for you to master to become a champion in 1119 paper 1 section. Okay, guys. The first one is language. Okay. We know that when it comes to writing an essay, especially continuous writing, which is section B, we are looking at the language per se. One of the main things that we are looking at first is the language. So your language should be lyrical, should it be beautiful, or should it be lame? But still, you can actually see where it goes and where it went. So, for the language part, when it comes to writing an essay, you need to understand 2 things. The most important 2 things in language aspect is good grammar, which is not just about past tense, and so great sentence structure, which is, again, I will explain to you after this a bit more. Firstly, when it comes to good grammar, you cannot just have a very good idea of when it comes to past tense, tambah ed. When it comes to past tense, tambah ed. No. When it comes to using the grammar itself, you need to know the basics. For example, kena tahu pasal pronouns, you need to know how to use the pronouns correctly, you need to know how to use sequence connector, and linkers, and so on. So, good grammar is not just about you knowing how to change the verb from one form to another. Good grammar also means that you need to understand that it has to be understood, it has to be grammatically correct. At the same time, there's some meaning to it. I'll get back to that after this. Okay, next is great sentence structure. In basics, in reality, there's only 3 sentence structure. There's only 3 types of sentence structure. The first one is simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. It's very basic, but using these 3 types of sentences optimally will help you to become more like a human rather than a robot. Because, for example, if you keep writing your essay in a very simple manner, each sentences, then your sentence, your essay will be very dull, very boring, very mundane, very monotonous, just like a robot. If you think you are a robot, then you can actually do that. But I don't think anyone who's sitting for SPM is a robot, right? So, which is why I would suggest, try to be as expressive as possible using the very least of a combination of simple and compound sentences. Because most of the time, good students are able to write simple sentences, but their simple sentences are too boring to the extent that it bores the examiners to give more marks. If it bores the examiner to give more marks, then there's no point of you writing anything. Okay, you are trying to be safe, you are trying to be error-free, but at the same time, you are not letting you to be better in a lot of aspects. You got these two types correctly, good grammar, great sentence structure, then you'll be able to actually achieve 100% when it comes to language. If you don't have these two, then sorry to say, whatever ideas, whatever plot line you have for your essay, it's not going to help. So first and foremost, look at your language. When I said language, two things: good grammar and great sentence structure. Okay, moving on. Okay, what do I mean by good grammar? For example, let's have a look at this phrase: first come, first serve. Seems like a very usual, common phrase that we can actually see every single day. But there's a mistake here. Can anyone point out what are the mistakes? What is the mistake, if there's only one? Okay. What do you think is the mistake here?
Ya, pelajar boleh respon di ruang chat. Okay, what is the mistake here? Okay, pelajar, okay, please bagi respon ya kepada Cikgu Izzul. Nah, kita boleh berkomunikasi dengan pelajar ya, Mr. Izzul.
Ya. Terima kasih, Cikgu Lena.
Ya, sama-sama.
Okay.
Okay, agaknya pelajar. Okay, what is the mistake? Okay, cepat bagi respon. Sebab Cikgu Izzul memang di YouTube agak lambat sedikit lah. Okay, paparan ni pelajar dapat lambat. Jadi sebab itu respon pelajar biasanya lebih lambat sedikit.
Okay, faham. Okay. I saw that
Yes, kita dah ada satu jawapan.
Okay, Izzat Hawari says first who come. Okay,
first who
come. And believe me, cakap ada the dash or the hyphen. Okay, it's not entirely wrong, but that is not the focus of what I'm trying to say. First come, first serve adalah kesalahan yang menjadi kesalahan dalam phrase ini adalah it shouldn't be first come, first serve. Sepatutnya first come, first served. Orang yang datang pertama sekali adalah orang yang akan dilayan. Bukan orang yang akan melayan. Serve dekat sini maksudnya layan. Layan. Kalau kita kata orang tu datang dan akan melayan, itu salah. Idea dia, perasaan ini adalah kita cuba nak sampaikan first come, first serve. Siapa yang datang dulu, dia akan dilayan. Okay. It's not just about past tense, it's also about passive voice. Dilayan, which is in passive form, bukan dalam bentuk aktif.
Ya, Cikgu Izzul, kita tengok ada seorang pelajar ni dah menjawab ya. Jaen Bun, Tanya.
Tanya. Congratulations, Jaen. Okay, moving on. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, second thing. I have this completely error-free sentence, but if you look at it, can you spot the joke? One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got into my pajamas, I'll never know. This particular sentence is error-free. There's no problem, there's no error mistakes there. But what confusion do you think that it might give readers when they actually read this particular sentence? One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got into my pajamas, I'll never know. Okay? This type of sentence is grammatically correct, but it can make a lot of confusion. As a person who wants to get better result for your essay, especially in section B, paper 1, you have to be very clear about what you're writing, even if it's in the simplest sentence form. Okay. For example, let me explain the confusion here. One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. It can be two meanings. Either one morning, satu pagi, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. Saya tembak gajah pakai baju pajamas. Dalam berbaju pajamas.
Yep.
Sama ada gajah tu berbaju pajamas ataupun saya yang berbaju pajamas. Tengok. even if I translate in Malay pun macam kita jadi pening.
Yep.
So try not to write this kind of question, this kind of sentence, but try to write a very simple sentence that people won't question you. Takkan tanya balik apa yang cuba dimasukkan. You can be good, you can be creative, you can be using a lot of ideas, but make sure that your ideas are carefully and also simply delivered without any particular question. Kalau when the examiners especially start asking question about your sentences, that is where your essay will go haywire. Dari situlah markah kita akan mula dikurangkan. Sebabnya kita tulis tak jelas. Kita tulis hanya fokus pada nampak cantik, nampak grammar free saja. Okay? Okay. Moving on. Okay. So the keyword here is for the first habit, you need to have a good sense of grammar. Dah belajar 11 tahun dah bahasa Inggeris, dah macam-macam, dah banyak kali dah. Setiap tahun cikgu akan ulang benda yang sama saja bahasa grammar. Past tense, present tense, present continuous tense, past perfect tense dan sebagainya. So make sure that you have those good sense of grammar. Kalau perlu untuk SPM ni revise balik, tengok balik dari segi grammar tu how to use it. Tak susah, especially kalau kita dah biasa. Akan susah kalau kita jenis macam bila nak buat essay baru kita nak tengok grammar. Okay? And some good students pula, dia tak tengok langsung pasal grammar, which is not good because we are still looking at your language per se rather than your ideas and sentence structure as a whole. Okay. Secondly is understand the basic foundation of sentence structure. Macam saya cakap tadi, you shouldn't just stop at one type of single sentence structure. Kena banyakkan lagi. Pelbagaikan lagi, campur pun tak apa. So long that bila kita campur tu, kita guna dengan betul. Which goes to my third point, use correctly but creatively. Kita gunakan dengan betul tapi pada masa yang sama kreatif. Macam yang tadi, dia kreatif, dia betul tapi dia tak difahami, dia susah difahami. Dia mengelirukan. So bila mengelirukan, grammar cantik dan sebagainya pun tidak membantu. Sebab dia tidak membantu kita untuk memahami apa yang awak cuba tuliskan.
Oh ya. Yeah.
Cikgu, kebanyakan pemeriksa, kebanyakan cikgu akan faham kalau it's a mistake that you see, that you do once in a while. Kadang-kadang buat, kadang-kadang tak. Tetapi kalau kerap buat, maksudnya kita ada yang tidak faham tentang grammar, kita tak faham tentang structure dan sebagainya. My last take for this one, if you can't do all, do most. Kalau tak boleh buat semua, buat paling banyak. Sekarang ni ada 3, sekurang-kurangnya buat 2. Good sense of grammar, basic foundation of sentence structure. Tak boleh guna creatively pun tak apa, tapi pastikan yang 2 yang atas tu ada. So that you can get higher marks ataupun kalau nak fokus kepada lulus, kita boleh lulus. Okay. So the keyword for your language habit should be accuracy. Biasakan diri untuk biasakan yang betul dan juga betulkan yang biasa. Next, second habit will be on vocabulary. Viva la vida. Okay, kita tengok vocabulary ni apa pula. Okay. First of all, antara kelemahan ataupun kekurangan murid seluruh Malaysia adalah bila dia menceritakan sesuatu tu, penceritaan dia tu, the description is not as interesting, it's not as detailed, it's not as descriptive as possible. Okay. For example, tengok, kalau kita gambar ni, how do you describe this particular picture? Kalau kita, if you only stop at explaining, okay, dalam gambar ni ada seorang budak perempuan, ada sebuah robot. Itu saja. If you stop there, it will not be interesting. It will mean that you don't really have a lot of vocabulary trying to explain all of these things. Padahal kita ada banyak je benda yang kita describe. Contohnya, when you look at the girl, you saw the girl is wearing a dress, a white dress with flowers on it. Also, you can actually see at the robot. The robot has a mechanical arm with some flowers on its neck. So banyak benda kita boleh sampaikan. Also, when it comes to vocabulary, kena ingat kebanyakan pelajar-pelajar yang bagus they tend to actually wanted to impress the examiner, wanted to impress their teachers. However, bombastic word, as they say, is not entirely an assurance for you to get a descriptive vision or the descriptive description. Kalau sekadar guna ayat macam tinggi-tinggi tapi sebenarnya salah dan macam tidak doesn't have any impact, there's no point of you using that bombastic word, especially if it leads to you, if it leads to making spelling errors and so on. So my take, if you only explain the obvious, then your marks will only be obvious. Kalau kita sekadar menceritakan apa yang kita nampak on surface, itu je dah yang kita akan dapat on surface punya markah. Go deeper a bit, even especially if you are in Form 5, you have to show that you are a Form 5 student or murid yang berumur 17 tahun. Kalau cara pemikiran, cara penulisan, murid 15 tahun, 17 tahun sama dengan murid yang 12 tahun, 13 tahun. So, siapa yang sekarang ni? Okay. For example, let's say the topic is, or the theme of a particular question is about ambition. So how do you describe an ambition? Maybe the word that you can actually use related to ambition is target, goal, or aim. Some probably a bit more bombastic would be aspiration and vocation. Okay, all of these 5 words describe the same thing, similar things, which is ambition. However, when and how you use it determines how well you understand the meaning, the structure, the mechanism of the word itself. Contoh, kalau kita cakap pasal target, goal dengan aim, ramai orang boleh dah bayangkan bahawa target, goal dan aim itu adalah satu benda yang sama. Tujuan, it's a focus that we want to achieve at the end of the day. Kalau kita cakap pasal aspiration, dia lebih bentuk abstract. It's more abstract, it's more understandably sophisticated. Vocation lagi sophisticated. But again, kalau salah guna perkataan aspiration, salah guna vocation, although you intend to use it as ambition, it will not help you because the reader, the examiner, the teacher would know that sebenarnya you don't really understand the word, how to use the word. You only use it because you think it sounded great. Okay? Whatever it is, try to, as much as possible, use different types of words that describe a particular the same concept, but make sure you know what the meaning and how to use it carefully first. Okay. My keyword for the second habit is, when it comes to talking in an essay, you'll be talking about the same thing, but try to explain it in a different manner. Cakap pasal benda lain. Using different words. Contohnya macam tadi kita cakap pasal ambition. Ambition is the same thing. Tapi takkan kita nak ulang perkataan ambition saja. If you keep on repeating the word ambition throughout your essay, it shows that you don't really have much of a vocabulary. At the same time, kalau kita banyak sangat vocabulary tapi salah guna dari segi ketepatannya, it still won't help you because the teachers would know that you are simply choosing some words and then putting it randomly all over your essays. Tidak membantu juga. Okay. Secondly, when it comes to your vocabulary habit, please make sure that paling tidak pun gunakan perkataan, use words you are most confident with. Gunakan perkataan yang kita paling yakin, paling sesuai, kita paling rasa, kita paling tahu. Itulah perkataan yang paling sesuai. Biarpun perkataan itu paling simple sekali, it doesn't matter. Lebih baik betul perkataan daripada salah perkataan yang membawa maksud yang lain.
Ya, Cikgu Izzul ya. Kadang-kadang budak kita, pelajar kita suka belasah. Itu yang jadi masalah ya.
Saja. Itulah. Kemudian kalau kita tengok lagi one more thing, words can have many meanings.
Yep.
Nak tengok kita ni faham, contoh perkataan fish. Kalau kita rasa fish tu hanya translation kepada ikan, then it shows that we don't really know fish can actually mean a lot of things. Fish can also be a verb, to fish something. Kita nak memancing sesuatu. Dan sebagainya. Catfish, itu benda lain pula dan sebagainya. So, kita nak tengok, if you know the word, the very basic word, the simple word, but you know how to use it differently, how to use it creatively, then you will be able to actually create an impact on the reader itself. Tujuan kita nak tulis essay tu bila kita baca tak bosan dan orang tahu, orang faham apa yang kita cuba baca. What we are trying to actually convey to them. So, when it comes to your vocabulary habit build up, the keyword is variety, pelbagaikan your words, be purposeful when using certain words.
Cikgu Izzul.
Ya saya.
Cikgu Izzul ada saya cut sekejap ya. Okay. Cikgu Izzul ada satu soalan daripada Jan M. Bun ni. Sir, if someone accidentally writes in American English during the exam, will the marks be deducted? For example, colour. Okay. Apa tu dia punya ejaan untuk colour yang berbeza dan juga fabric untuk ejaan yang berbeza. Macam mana tu Cikgu Izzul ya?
Okay, Jaan, this is a very good question. And for your information, I'll be covering this aspect a bit later on after this. Okay, just wait for it.
Okay, tunggu.
Okay, that's the second habit. The third habit will be about punctuation and spelling, as Jaan has been asking just now.
Yeah.
Are we spotting the stop or are we stopping the spot? Okay, let's have a look at it. Okay. Macam saya cakap tadi, you have been learning English for the past 11 years, daripada darjah 1 sampai darjah 5. In fact, yang murid SPM kali ni 12 tahun sebab dia ada tahun ekstra sebelum ambil SPM. So it shouldn't be a problem. You should at least understand the punctuation in English and how to actually use it correctly. Tak ada banyak sangat pun sebenarnya. We have full stop, we have comma, we have colon, semicolon, question mark, hyphen and so on. Okay. Some of them you think you might know how to use it, contohnya macam full stop, but some of them maybe macam comma tu macam tahu tapi macam kenapa buat kesalahan juga dalam essay. So it reflects how well you understand these punctuations in English per se. If you know how to use this correctly, bila kita baca tu as I mentioned, essay tu kena ditulis dalam bentuk yang menarik dan betul dan tepat. Okay, kalau ada perkataan-perkataan ni, guna full stop, guna comma ni, kita akan dapat tahu sebenarnya linguistically speaking, when it comes to English, you know your language well and you know how to use those language to your benefit. Okay, contoh apa beza dua ayat perkataan ni? Let's eat grandma dengan let's eat grandma. Kita nak yang mana satu? Ayat pertama, let's eat grandma. Jom makan ini. Ayat kedua, jom makan nenek.
Ya, menarik Cikgu Izzul.
So konsepnya adalah we want to make sure that you know how to use comma paling basic pun kita tahu bila nak guna.
Ya.
Kita nak makan ni, kita nak makan bersama ni.
Saya rasa ramai yang guna yang atas lah Cikgu Izzul. Ramai.
Contoh lagi dalam kelas yang lain, cikgu tandas. Cikgu tandas.
Kesian Cikgu Tandas.
Itulah, kesian Cikgu Tandas. Setiap bila cikgu tu bertukar nama jadi Tandas pun dia tahu. So Cikgu Tandas adalah salah satu contoh yang mana kita nampak, yelah dia nak memudahkan percakapan dia, nak mengurangkan air liur dia untuk bercakap. Tetapi tidak sampai makna. Maksud tak sampai, ketepatan maksud pun tak ada. Okay? Okay. That's one example. Okay. So when it comes to when it comes to building up your habit in terms of punctuation and spelling, please make sure that you adhere to these two. Number one, able to use most punctuations correctly and with creative purposes. Kenapa saya kata creative purposes ni? Kalau awak rasa you can actually achieve higher tapi masih lagi dapat dalam band B ke A- ke certain group of students, sebenarnya because your essay is too safe. Bosan nak baca. Bosan tu maksudnya apa? Cikgu-cikgu ni ada banyak essay nak kena tanda, tapi disebabkan awak tanda tu cantik je, bersih je, tak ada apa-apa yang menarik, tak ada wow factor. Okay, tak ada X factor contohnya. So it doesn't create an impression untuk orang teruskan baca apa yang awak tulis. Okay. Seolah-olahnya dalam hati awak, we understand that sometimes you do it because you are under pressure, tapi seolah-olahnya macam kita buat tu for the sake of writing an essay saja. Cikgu suruh buat, kita buat. Cikgu suruh makan, kita makan. Cikgu suruh bernafas, kita bernafas. Macam tu lah. So it doesn't show yourself as a 17-year-old. Untuk pelajar yang murid yang berumur 17 tahun, kalau masih lagi kena ketuk baru buat, susah lah. That's what I'm trying to say when it comes to consistency and creativity. Yang kedua, able to spell most words or phrases correctly and consistently. Okay, ini ada kaitan balik dengan soalan Jaen just now. Whenever if you want to choose either American or British, choose only one, then stick to it sampai habis. Daripada awal, from the beginning until the end, you use the only same words. Tetapi it shouldn't be a problem if you understand that you shouldn't be using the same word sebenarnya in the first place. Jangan guna perkataan yang sama, melainkan terpaksa. Tapi kalau contohnya perkataan colour or favourite just now, if you use the first one as colour, C-O-L-O-R, second one, third one, fourth one pun should be colour juga, C-O-L-O-R. Same goes as favourite. Favourite, F-A-V-O-U-R-I-T-E ataupun F-A-V-O-R-I-T-E. Choose one and then stick to that sampai habis. Same goes with other spelling as well. If let's say you only did this mistake once, the teacher will assume that it's a mistake, that it's a slip. Kita tersalah buat. But kalau tengok sekejap colour, sekejap ada U, sekejap tak ada U dan sebagainya, it shows that you don't really understand, you don't really know the difference between colour without a U and colour with a U. Okay? Konsisten tu kena ada sepanjang esei daripada awal sampai akhir. Kalau berterus, dia konsep konsisten ni adalah kalau kita secara konsisten buat salah, maksudnya cikgu dapat tahu dah sebenarnya awak tak pandai sangat, ada beberapa aspek yang awak tidak faham, awak tidak pernah, tak mahir lagi. Kalau kita konsisten buat betul, maksudnya kita dapat tahu, okay, pelajar ini, murid ini berjaya untuk melakukan sesuatu dengan konsisten, maksudnya dia faham sebenarnya secara konsisten, secara istiqamah. Okay, that is for habit number 3. Okay. Punctuation and spelling. Okay, moving on to habit number 4, paragraph. Even antara lagi kelemahan murid-murid from the essays that I've been reading the essays is that they don't really have a structure. Tak ada struktur, tak nampak tersusun ideas, tak nampak tersusun susunan ayat dan sebagainya. So paragraphing is very important when it comes to writing an essay. Why? Okay, I'll explain to you why. When it comes to paragraphing ataupun tulis essay, ada 3 benda saja, ada 3 proses saja. Yang pertama sekali, plan. Tak rancang, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Whatever it is. Tak merancang, kita gagal merancang, kita merancang untuk kegagalan. Dah rancang cantik, the next thing you have to do is arrange. Kadang-kadang dalam perancangan kita tu, kita letak je semua idea yang ada kat situ. Tapi untuk pastikan, to create a very good essay, to write a very good essay, you have to arrange it accordingly. Ikut flow dia. Kalau itu cerita, kena adalah pemula, you need to have the beginning, climax and ending at least. Kalau dia factual dan sebagainya, kena ada structure dia. Kalau tak, cacah marba jadinya. Once, and then bila cacah marba, dia akan membawa kepada confusion. Bila examiner tu confuse saja, markah awak akan jadi rendah, akan direndahkan sebabnya the examiner will see that you don't really know how to arrange your sentences, your ideas and so on.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least, compose. Apa maksud compose? Ramai orang fikir macam asalkan saya tulis dah plan, dah tulis cantik-cantik, tak perlulah nak tengok paragraf sangat. Tidak. Sebenarnya murid yang bagus, penulis yang bagus, when it comes to writing an essay, they will be able to compose it very beautifully. Contoh, saya bagi contoh, kalau awak dengar lagu, contoh dengar lagu Baby Shark du tu, kenapa ramai budak-budak tertarik dengan lagu Baby Shark tu? Sebab komposer lagu dia telah berjaya menyusun, dia rancang, dia susun, lepas tu dia cantikkan, dia kemaskan. Bila masa nak letak benda-benda tu, bila masa nak letak intonasi tu, lirik tu dan sebagainya. That is what we mean by composing. Same goes as writing an essay.
Ya, menarik.
Kalau kita cacah marba, dahlah tulisan kita dikenal pasti sebagai bukan tulisan manusia. Kemudian kita tulis pula. kita tulis pula panjang-panjang.
Pada halus-halus pula ya.
Halus-halus. Kadang-kadang tulisan kita tu macam nak menaikkan emosi cikgu-cikgu kita, kecil besar. So dia tidak membantu kepada for you to get more marks.
Ya, betul.
Contoh lagi, when it comes to writing an essay, sebenarnya lebih elok kalau setiap essay tu setiap barisan dalam essay tu sama panjang. Contohnya perangan pertama ada dalam 7 baris. Perangan kedua pun sepatutnya dalam 7-8 baris. 3 pun sama juga. Sebab bila kita buat macam tu sebenarnya kita berhati-hati untuk tidak melakukan kesalahan yang tak semena-mena. You don't really have to actually be very focused on your mistakes. Sebabnya kita tahu we only write 7 to 8 sentences ke baris ke saja. So we know how to control ourselves from making more mistakes. Okay. So when it comes to paragraphing, pastikan plan, arrange, lepas tu compose. Susun, compose ikut kesesuaian essay itu dan sebagainya. Okay. Contohnya, kita tengok diagram ni. Okay. Kalau sekali nampak dan dah tulis kat situ pun, it shows that this is an asymmetry diagram. Satu gambar, satu diagram yang tidak sama, yang tidak sekata. Kalau rasanya manusia biasa rasa nak betulkan tak? Gambar yang tidak sekata ni, asymmetry diagram. Apa yang kita nak tukar? Contohnya yang paling senang, kita akan pastikan bucu ni dengan bucu ni adalah sama. Atau kita akan pastikan panjang dia sama, dia semua sama. So that bila kita nampak tu, fitrah manusia, human nature love things that are symmetrical. Kenapa setengah orang kata cantik, kenapa setengah orang kata handsome? Kadang-kadang kita kembali kepada konsep mata dia sama level, hidung dia sama tinggi dan sebagainya. Sebab kita tengok orang tu sama, sekata antara sebelah kanan dan sebelah kiri. So that's what we mean by asymmetry. Same goes with your essay. Kalau your essay is lebih kurang 78, bila cikgu baca pun mungkin macam tenang. Good idea that you know your structure well, you can actually be a bit more creative with your words, you know how to write it very neatly and so on. Walaupun tulisan kita tak berjaya diselamatkan lagi, tapi tak apa, kalau kita tulis dalam bentuk beberapa barisan tu, it's good enough for you to help you, yang paling penting to help you get more sense of what you are trying to say. Orang faham apa yang orang nak tulis, itu yang paling penting. Orang tak faham, itu lagi kelang kabut. Pada masa yang sama, just a reminder for those students yang suka sangat skip line, contohnya kononnya nak bagi nampak essay tu panjang dan banyak. Okay. Memang cantik atas kertas tapi sebenarnya tidak membantu sebab banyak sangat pages yang cikgu kena selak. Bila macam tu, it's another strategy altogether. Kita nak menyusahkan orang ke, kita nak menyusahkan diri sendiri. As I mentioned, kalau the examiner rasa terbeban, if you do that, then you will not get high marks or you will not get favorable input from the examiner itself. Sebab dia rasa macam, budak ni saja je nak manjang-manjangkan. At the same time, a very good tip for most students yang nak dapatkan markah yang tinggi, good essays doesn't have to be long. Tak semestinya kena panjang. Okay? Sepatutnya good essay should just be about 2 pages full sahaja. If you start writing sampai 17 muka surat dengan pelbagai jenis perkara yang awak tulis, kononnya tulis banyak, sebenarnya it doesn't really help you. The more you write, the more mistakes you actually do. Okay?
Betul lah Izzul. Okay, hampir semua subjek Cikgu Izzul ya, pelajar kita ini tidak merancang dari awal lah. Itu yang masalah apabila menulis esei, kita lihat mereka menulis esei jadi macam goreng kacang ya Cikgu Izzul. Dan itu yang menyebabkan pemeriksa jadi boring nak baca dan mereka akan letak esei kita yang paling last kali. Betul tak?
Betul. Kemudian satu lagi, kesalahan kebanyakan murid juga adalah dia jawab apa yang dia tahu, bukan apa yang dia tanya. Kita tanya pasal benda lain, soalan tanya pasal benda lain, dia jawab pasal apa yang murid tu ingat. Contohnya kalau dia hafal karangan tu, dia balik karangan tu. Walaupun tak ada kaitan dengan mana-mana tajuk dengan tadi. Kalau rasa dah terdesak sangat, itu mungkinlah langkah terakhir kita ambil. Tapi selalunya, dalam tempoh yang masih ada lagi sebulan lebih ni, sebulan SPM, sebenar, you should be able to practice doing your thing. Okay? Okay. So for habit number 4, paragraph, what the keyword is uniformity. Maksudnya kena sekata, kena seimbang daripada satu paragraf ke paragraf yang lain. Number 1, write in a consistent structure. Structure tu kalau 7 baris tu buatlah 7 baris, 8 baris, 7 baris, 8 baris. Okay, tak adalah kena tepat-tepat 7, tidak. Well, so long that your paragraph is similar to each other. Yang kedua, conform your paragraph, not your ideas. Okay, idea kita tu biarlah very wild, very vivacious dan sebagainya, tetapi paragraph kita tu masih lagi berpijak di bumi nyata. Okay, if your paragraph is as wild as your ideas, dan saya ucapkan selamat tinggal dan selamat maju jaya kepada markah awak yang tidak boleh dapat tinggi. Okay. Yang ketiga, symmetry ataupun sekata itu can also mean neat, cantik dan tersusun dan bersih, dan kita nampaklah kemas. Kalau kita tahu dah tulisan kita ni tak cantik, tambah lagi paragraf kita tak kemas, so it will not help the examiners. Okay, my take is that if your brain didn't get hurt while writing a neat paragraph, so would the examiners. Kalau kita sendiri masa tulis pun cantik dah, kita pun tak pening, orang lain baca pun lagi dah tak pening. Okay,
ya, betul.
Sure that you will make it easier for others to read your work. Okay.
Yep.
And lastly, the 5th habit is consistency. This is where it distinguish between you and others and the candidates. Sebenarnya bila tulis essay tu nak pergi mana? What is the question asked you to do? What are the things that the question asks you to do? Kita mematuhi apa yang ditanya ke, atau macam saya cakap tadi, or are we just simply write whatever we want to write? Okay? Because kalau tidak, contohnya lah, I'll give you an example of a story from Alice in Wonderland. Okay, Alice got lost when she was in Wonderland. Kalau kita sendiri tak nampak direction, kita tak nampak hala tuju apa kita menulis dekat atas essay tu, kita sendiri tak nampak, macam mana orang nak membantu kita untuk bagi markah yang menampakkan kita punya essay? Okay, maksudnya adalah kalau kita sendiri sesat, if you yourself get lost when writing your essay, the examiner will get lost as well. Bila the examiner get lost, you will not get the marks that you desire. Sebab again, tak faham apa yang cikgu sampaikan. Okay. Keyword dia kat sini adalah idea tu kena konsisten. Contoh maksud idea yang konsisten adalah kalau cerita tu cakap pasal let's say from the topic itself, it's about a person you admire to become someone in the future. Okay, tajuk dia pasal tu. Kita mulakan, let's say kita nak jadi macam, contohnya macam Steve Jobs, the creator of Apple. Okay, permulaan dia dah cantik, tapi tiba-tiba tengah-tengah kita cakap pasal Napoleon Bonaparte, ataupun tiba-tiba kita cakap pasal kalau peminat tengok cerita anime, Ichigo, or any other characters. So your ideas are not consistent. Sekejap nak jadi orang ni, sekejap nak jadi orang ni, so it will not be helpful for your examiner especially to understand what you are trying to write. Okay, continuity. Okay, and then this is just a repetition from what Jia Eun has been asking just now. Be American or British, pilih salah satu saja and be consistent to that. Okay, just to let you know, in Malaysia, especially in SPM, hanya diterima 2 jenis spelling ini saja, which is American or British. Kalau nak masukkan New Zealand punya English, Australian punya English, South African punya English, it will not help you much sebab dia tak membantu pun. So kalau salah tu, salah dia sendiri. Sebab cikgu dah beritahu, stick to either American or British.
Either one.
Okay. Either one. Kemudian last sekali, again, I'm just repeating the same thing. Right? Konsep dia, keyword dia adalah continuity, kelangsungan. All you have to do is plan, arrange, compose, repeat. Plan, arrange, compose, repeat. Plan, arrange, compose, repeat for each paragraph that you do. Bila kita buat macam ni, kita biasakan buat macam ni. If you have habit of doing this, macam saya cakap tadi, like Charles Duhigg said just now, earlier on, A champion does not do things that are extraordinary. Dia buat benda-benda yang ordinary, benda-benda yang biasa, tapi dia dah biasa buat benda-benda yang biasa. Sampai dia tak payah fikir pun. If you can have these habits ingrained in yourself when writing an essay, you will not be making mistakes as much. You will be able to explore your creativity and so on. Essay yang menarik adalah essay yang error free, essay yang idea dia menunjukkan kematangan, menunjukkan idea tu datang daripada murid tingkatan 5. It also shows that this particular candidate can actually write to a certain extent. Mungkinlah tak perfect dalam semua aspek, tidak. But when you read it, ada ketenangan dalam hati pemeriksa tu membacanya.
Okey, Cikgu Izzul. Saya ganggu sekejap. Okay, ada satu soalan daripada Mazwin Dawawi. Okay, Cikgu, macam mana format baru untuk English essay?
Okay, terima kasih Mazwin. First of all, for your batch, untuk batch SPM 2020, masih lagi gunakan konsep ataupun format English 19 paper 1. Maksudnya, dia tak format terbaru ada 4 paper. Format yang lama masih ada lagi 2 paper saja. So tak perlu nak risau sangat pasal format. Apa yang cikgu awak ajar sebelum ini, itulah format yang terpakai untuk awak. Format baru hanya bermula next year, if I'm not mistaken lah. Okay. Okay, sebenarnya saya nak habis ni. Okay, let me summarize the whole idea. 5 habits to make you a champion when it comes to writing English Paper 19 Paper 2 Section B. Number 1, make it a habit to write a good, correct language. Number 2, try to vary your vocabulary. Pelbagaikan jenis perkataan tu, walaupun perkataan tu perkataan yang senang saja. Number 3, try to make sure that you know, you understand, and you are able to use your punctuation and spelling correctly. Number 4, when it comes to paragraph, compose your paragraph as perfectly as possible so that it will help you to gain more insight, to get more clarity when it comes to writing. Last but not least, consistent. Please be consistent in whatever you are trying to write. Kalau kita cakap pasal bola, from the beginning, then from the beginning until the end, it should be about football. It shouldn't be about volleyball. It should be about all other balls. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Now I would like to open to the floor if you have any questions.
Okey, pelajar. Oh, sekejap ya, saya ada masalah.
Cikgu Zainul, mic Cikgu Zainul mute.
Yang ni kejap.
Masih lagi mute tu.
Okey, boleh dengar? Boleh dengar? Oh, ada sambung.
Boleh.
Sekejap.
Ada
Gemma.
echo lagi.
Okey, boleh dengar? Boleh dengar? Boleh dengar? Oh, tapi masih bergema.
Mungkin boleh tutup YouTube pun kalau cikgu buka.
Saya tak buka. Sebab saya ter-add satu lagi. Saya ter-add dua. Saya cuba remove.
Cuba keluar kat remote. Keluar.
Oh, kena key yang ni. Okey. Stop mic. Okey, boleh tak? Oh, sama juga.
Masih lagi bergema.
Okey, masih bergema. Okey. Macam mana? Boleh.
Tak apalah kalau saya boleh tutup untuk kalau ada sebarang soalan.
Okey, ada soalan tak?
Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Or if you think you are going to rewatch this, again, this video again, maybe you can actually contact me at Telegram, on my Telegram, which is just search me Izzul Iqbal Telegram. You can always ask me your questions there, and I'll be happy to answer it for you.
Okey, masih bergema lagi tak?
Masih lagi bersama, masih lagi.
Okey. Tak ada soalan? Okey. Jika tak ada apa-apa. Macam mana saya nak remove? Okey, saya dah remove. Okey, boleh. Sama juga ya. Cikgu Izzul boleh tutup mic tak? Cuba.
Okay.
Kita cuba kadang-kadang. Hello. Oh, sama. Okey. Okey, pelajar, terima kasih kerana meluangkan masa pada pagi ini. Ada sedikit gangguan audio, maafkan saya. Okey, so saya ingin ucapkan terima kasih kepada Cikgu Izzul kerana meluangkan masa bersama kita pada pagi ini. Dan jangan ke mana-mana, pukul 11.30 kita akan bersama dalam slot sains. Okey, dengan ini saya mengucapkan tahniah dan terima kasih. Sehingga berjumpa lagi pukul 11.30 pagi. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone. Baru bunyi ke?